What is up, everybody? Welcome back to Watch Theaters TV. I'm back with another review, and this one is of City on a Hill, Season 3, Episode 8, entitled Whipping Post. This is the season finale episode of Season 3. And if you like this video, like, comment, subscribe, share the video for all things City on a Hill. So basically, this episode starts off right where the last episode ended. With DeCourcy, he goes into the office and he sees Guy talking to Sinclair, and basically Sinclair says that he wants to clear his name, and Guy claims that Sinclair is innocent, but of course we already know Guy is basically working with Sinclair, so yeah, so we see how that goes. Sinclair claims to be innocent. He says that Jackie is trying to, put him in jail and ruin his name and reputation, all that stuff like that. And he says that he also slept with his wife, but we also know that basically they already had something set up where, he already knew that, but he wanted to use that against them. I guess maybe he already had this planned to use against Jackie if Jackie ever decided to go against him. So, he wanted to use the whole thing of him sleeping with his wife to sort of make Jackie look worse. Of course, he does not like hearing this because it completely messes up their case against Sinclair. So then that causes DeCourcy to confront Jackie about, sleeping with, I think her name is Letitia. And if I am saying it right, cool, because basically I just recently gave her the nickname Letty because I was not knowing how to pronounce her name. So I believe it's Letitia, but if I'm saying it right, I'm just going to call her Letty because why would I care? It's probably the last time we're going to see this character anyway. But let me see. Then there's a quote that DeCourcy says to let me see. He says, I forgot what he said. He said a quote to Jackie that basically sums up the whole character. That he basically can't, he can't keep anything in his pants because he's constantly always sleeping around and completely messes up his whole marriage, and now it's going to possibly mess up his job. So he really, that really kind of throws a monkey wrench in their case that they have. Of course, he's mad at Jackie for literally screwing things up, for the case, with him sleeping with Letitia and then wanting to go against Sinclair, just screwing things up. Chris and his daughter, they talk about her mom, and how she's basically dating another guy at the time. And, she also talks about how she doesn't want to get married and stuff like that, or seeing what her and her dad and her mom is going through. And she basically hopes that her and her parents get back together like most kids probably would, and it seems like Chris is not really feeling that. Saban wants the Mendoza case to basically go public, but Cassandra doesn't. And Saban finally starts to make things go her way with this Mendoza case, after going the whole debate with Cassandra. Jenny goes to see her half brother in the mental institution, so that was a pretty interesting scene with them too. Really add some character development, really sort of molds Jenny just in this scene alone as she ends up changing her relationship with her father, which we're going to get into later on in this review. But I like that whole scene that they had between her and Joe. It really developed her character. She could learn so much from somebody she just met. Chris says that Bet is gone, and all the women have gone silent. There's a scene where, Chris and DeCourcy, they're talking about this case and about trying to find witnesses that can, go against Sinclair, but Bet has disappeared, and most of the women have gone silent because most likely, Sinclair is scaring these women to not testify against him, so it makes the whole case becomes more and more difficult as time goes on. Jackie finds Bet at a hotel. He was able to track her down, and he tells her that basically his wife and daughter have been abused, and he wants to help Bet out because they weren't able to get the help that they needed. So that causes Bet to really be able to step up and testify against Sinclair. Jenny, she meets Joe, and when they talk, and she asks about him coming to her wedding and stuff like that, and Joe says that he actually was at her wedding, but he stood outside of Jenny's wedding. Says he used to also hate their father too, and they seem to have a lot in common with disliking their father. But he's been able to forgive her. So like I said, they developed so much of a close bond in this episode from just meeting. I like the way they wrote that. Then of course he talks with Bet. She says that she couldn't really remember what happened, which is why she didn't come forward. She said she took the money so he could leave her alone, but she didn't spend any of it. And she puts all the money right back on the table that Jackie gave to her. So yeah, that shows the type of impact that Sinclair had on Bette. That she barely remembered what happened from the night that he did what he did, and then she didn't even spend the money. So really is going to be able to help to really put Sinclair in jail. She didn't even spend the money or any of that. Joe says he can't hate their dad, but Jenny definitely still has some hatred towards him. She's able to sort of forgive him, even though despite the fact that he does have certain mental issues, he's able to still be able to not hate their father. Whereas Jenny, she's still going to struggle with that. But he ends up finding a way to being able to convince her to sort of open her heart up more in order to forgive him. After a long story about Jackie talking to Sinclair about a story about a whipping post, he finally comes clean and says that Sinclair is a rapist. He tells Jackie he already knew Jackie would try to get Letitia to turn against him, which didn't exactly work just yet. Jackie asks if he basically did the same thing to Letitia, and eventually Jackie ends up having Sinclair arrested. So finally, after this whole season of him, drugging chicks, finally Sinclair is arrested. So Jenny tells Joe she isn't happy. She's just not really feeling good and stuff like that. Just basically pouring her heart out to her brother, and of course he talks with Letitia, and he brings up Jackie's affair and tells her he will expose her if she won't expose Sinclair, is what he ends up basically telling Letitia. And Letitia is still loyal to Sinclair, despite everything he's done with, drugging these women and stuff like that. She's still on his side for now. So yeah, that was a pretty intense scene. The whole thing of them, scoping the whole house and stuff like that, and looking through the whole house, and she still doesn't even flinch. Then there's a scene where I like that it was kind of funny where the Corsi says that she wasn't scared and stuff like that when they were searching the house, and then Jackie ends up saying this because of all her Botox. I thought that was funny. Jackie definitely is one of the most interesting characters. He's definitely the comic relief for the show. Chris asks Alana on a date. This is one of the widows from I believe earlier in this season. I forgot whose husband died. I honestly forgot, but she's a widow, and she decides to hook up with Chris. So now Chris, I guess, has new love interest. After sleeping with some other women, he decides to finally hook up with Elena. So there's that. DeCourcy pushes Saban to continue her case. I love their relationship, DeCourcy and Saban. It's basically sort of the opposite of Jackie and Jenny. Jackie and Jenny, there's always some type of affair going on and arguing and stuff like that, and it's like the total opposite of them two. But it can get very boring between the two, I'll be honest. Saban and DeCourcy, some of their relationship it almost feels like it's too good, and it's too, like, they get along too well, even though they definitely have some struggles in their relationship. Last season, she got shot, and and there's there's definitely some trouble they sometimes have. But sometimes the relationship does get a little boring because I almost feel like it's too good. And yeah, so there's that. Jackie hands out subpoenas to Mrs. Murphy and the other maids. And, we first saw in a previous episode, Mrs. Murphy didn't really give Chris much information on DeCourcy, and now they're giving out subpoenas, and that's that, so, yeah. So, yeah. DeCourcy lets Sinclair know his own daughter will go against him. Yeah, there's a scene where they're in the courtroom, and of course, he lets Sinclair know that his own daughter, doesn't even trust him and stuff like that. And we can see that Letitia definitely feels bothered by that. We can still see that she might possibly end up going against him, So that completely made her feel totally uncomfortable. And then there's a scene after this where Sinclair, he ends up... No, wait, hold on, not just yet. I also noticed it was kind of ironic that Sinclair, I believe he had a female lawyer, which is pretty ironic because of the stuff that he was doing to women, that he would have a female lawyer defending him. I've always thought that was pretty crazy. I believe that woman that he was talking to in a limo after they came from court, I think that was his lawyer. I'm not sure, but it's ironic that we have a woman defending him with what he's done to women. So I thought that was pretty ironic that that happened. DeCourcy and Blair talk about victims, and they have very interesting talk. And DeCourcy basically says that young victims can believe each other, and older victims feel that the younger ones should basically be stronger. That's kind of similar to today. A lot of older people today feel that my generation and the younger generation is weaker, and most people that are younger of my generation can relate to each other, and the older generation can't. Now it's very sort of like almost a foreshadow of what society is today compared to what it was where the show takes place in the 90s. So I thought that was pretty interesting, a conversation that they both had. At the court, DeCourcy tells the jury that Sinclair's own daughter thinks that he's bad. Yeah, I think I said that already. Jenny decides to apologize to her dad. They sort of become, I guess, on good terms after their talk outside of his house. And so that's good to see Jenny sort of being able to forgive her dad. They definitely had a pretty bad relationship and, with abuse and all kinds of stuff. But she was able to forgive him just by talking to her bipolar brother. So that was good that they were able to sort of, fix things, I guess you can say. Sinclair comes back to an empty house. Letitia finally decides to leave him, and I believe he was trying to kill himself with the drugs that he used on women. So, yeah, I thought he was going to die, but instead he ends up putting himself in a coma. That's another pure irony that basically he would drug himself with the same stuff that he used on women. Yeah, I guess he was trying to avoid, getting done to him what he was doing to women, by trying to avoid prison, as you know what I'm talking about. He was trying to avoid, getting abused the way he did these women. He didn't want to get abused going to jail because that's where he was about to go. So he ends up deciding to drug himself. Yeah. Sinclair. Saban gets on TV, and you can tell she feels some type of regret for what she's about to do, but she doesn't really want to get on TV and talk about the Mendoza case, I guess. But she talks about how the union did nothing for the Mendoza case and stuff like that, so she ends up putting that out there, and she just feels like it's not a good idea, but she decides to do it anyway. Letitia talks to Jenny and tells Jackie she knew about this assault. Oh, okay. So there's a scene where Letitia, she talks to Jenny and tells Jenny that Jackie knew about all the assaults that was going on and kept quiet so he can keep sleeping with her. So, wow, that was a really, Letitia is a really cutthroat woman. And she tells him he slept with Doyle. Oh, no, Letitia, no, not Letitia. Jenny tells Jackie that she slept with Doyle, which he kind of already knew, but he's still kind of gut-wrenched by it. And she says she's leaving Jackie. So this time around, earlier in the episode, she said that she wouldn't leave him, but now she's for sure done with him. So, wow, that was a huge turn of events. So much to unfold there. I mean, yeah, that Letitia decided to, after leaving Sinclair, decided to do one stab in the back to Jackie and go on about her business, so wow. Guy ends up winning his election, and DeCourcy is given district attorney position by Guy. DeCourcy says that he will find out who gave info on the case about Sinclair. He ends up knowing that somebody did it, and Guy is definitely worried because Guy knows that he was working with Sinclair. We saw a few episodes ago, so definitely, I'm going to get into spoilers after this, but definitely we can tell that there's going to be some tension there next season between DeCourcy and Guy. So Chris's wife says they should get back together. He basically turns that down, and the daughter is mad at him. So now his relationship with his daughter is kind of ruined, but I'm not sure how it's going to affect his relationship with his son exactly, because in this episode he seems to have some issues with his son too. Jenny wants to become Joe's guardian, so now we most likely believe that next season that she's going to bring in her brother and they're going to be living together, but you can tell that's going to be kind of difficult because this guy is bipolar, so there's going to be some type of problems going on there eventually. Saban and DeCourcy, they go out to eat, and the muscle that's been stalking her ends up attacking her, and almost look like he's about to hit her with a crowbar, but DeCourcy comes and drives him away with the gun in the back of his head. And he's mad she never told him, that, this man was trying to handle you and he was doing this and she felt that she could handle this by herself. I don't know why would Saban think that. And then she has the nerve to say that, he almost killed that man. Well, of course, he was trying to defend his wife. So, Saban, so they storm off. So there are definitely some trouble in paradise. I don't know what was Saban thinking, that she can handle this on her own. But yeah, so, she trying to be Superwoman, even though just the last season she got shot. But yeah, so definitely you can tell that now there's going to be some tension in their relationship. There's going to be some real problems now because, he's just doing that but defending his wife from almost getting her head cracked by, some guy that's probably part of the mafia. I think Saban really, she's getting a little big headed basically. Then Jackie has a scene at the end of this episode, where he's talking to Sinclair, who's in a coma. And Jackie tells him that he will be around till Sinclair wakes up. And of course, he walks in, and that's it. So that's how the episode ends. I thought it was a little anticlimactic, but I don't know what to take of that. I don't know if Sinclair's going to continue to be in this coma, but I believe my predictions for next season is that most likely he's going to get out. He's going to have to get out of this coma, or he's going to die in it. But most likely, I believe he's going to get out of it, and he's going to go straight to jail. I believe there's going to be some more problems in the relationship between DeCourcy and Saban. This whole thing of her trying to handle things on her own, and he's in the now there's going to be some type of trust issues. Can he see his wife can really handle herself? Because after this whole season of her so many times almost getting in danger, she wants to handle things herself, but her husband wants to protect her. So I think that next season, season 4, is going to be some trouble in their marriage. I think that Jenny's going to have some issues with her brother because he's bipolar, so her being his guardian might not be the best idea because she may not know how to handle him, especially with her being by herself, probably moving out of Jackie's home. I don't think it's going to be a good idea for her to be his guardian necessarily. I don't know about Doyle. I don't know where he's going. I think he's going to be in jail for quite a while for attempting to kill an ex-cop, so I don't know about he's getting out anytime soon. And let's see what else. Who else can I say? Chris definitely gonna have some more problems with his family, and that he decides to not be with his wife, who was most likely probably hooking up with who knows who when they were broken up, and now she wants to get back with him. So he's like, "Nah, I'm good." So that's gonna cause some problems in his family life next season, in season 4, and also one of the biggest predictions I think is gonna go for season 4 is that there's definitely going to be a feud between DeCourcy and Guy, his boss, because definitely he's going to know that he has something to do with Sinclair, giving Sinclair information on their case. So there's definitely going to cause some type of battle between DeCourcy and Guy. And Jackie, I don't know what I can say about Jackie, because I don't remember, is he a cop again, or is he just helping the police out? I'm not sure, I don't really remember, but I guess I was wrong also that Saban didn't die, but I believe that she don't be careful season 4, she probably might, because she's getting too overzealous with this case, and I really don't want nothing to happen to her character, but she needs to be careful. But yeah, if you have any predictions and how you think season 4 of City on the Hill is going to go, comment on my video. I don't know if this video might shut off because my phone is cheap. So if you like this video, like, comment, subscribe, share the video for all things City on the Hill, and I would be doing a review of City on the Hill season 4 next year. So if you like City on the Hill, subscribe to this channel, and thanks.